Koa Peat continues to dominate on the world scene, leading many to ask, is this going to be the best freshman in all of college basketball this coming season?
You are Locked On Wildcats, your daily podcast on the Arizona Wildcats. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thanks for keeping it Locked On Wildcats and making this your first listen of the day. I am your host, Mike Luke, Locked On, your team every day. All right, we're going to talk about Koa Peat. Is he the best freshman in all of college basketball? We're going to talk about his skill set, what he can do in instant impact, and what people should expect, plus some U of A football recruiting news. Also, big shout out to U of A superfan Rich Carrillo. I know it was a really tough weekend for you, Rich, but, bounce back. Just keep blocking people. It'll be okay. All right, now, let's talk a little bit about Koa Peat and what he brings. The first thing, though, that we need to talk about is where is he then? You look at his rankings and you look at it, and he's ranked around the top 10, round 10. That's too low. Now, listen, I know that a lot of these guys are based off of what their NBA upside is, but Koa's NBA upside, I think, is being tremendously undervalued at this point. And there's a big reason why. It's because, first of all, he's really, really good. And I don't think that people really knew that he had that kind of handle to him. He is a guy that you watch him and I think a lot of people thought, well, he can just get up and down the court, and he can block shots, he can do things like that. He's a hustle energy type player, but no, he's got a lot more skill. And the thing about him too is that he can finish around the basket in a very, very impressive way. You watch him, and when he gets fouled, he can finish. When he gets the ball in the open court, he can finish. When he gets around the basket, he can finish. He's kind of a jack of all trades in that regard, and I think his offensive game is very, very undervalued in the grand scheme of things. So there's obviously a lot to like about his game. Now, I think the thing that surprised a lot of people is they did not believe that he was going to be the player that on the world stage would be arguably Team USA's best player. And, obviously he was going to play a lot because of Tommy Lloyd, and, Tommy Lloyd obviously is going to be his coach. But when Koa is not on the court for them, it is a different animal entirely for the Team USA, and he has shown that time and time again. I mean, he's a monster. He's taking charges. He plays the right way. I mean, everything about him is kind of a coach's dream, and I think that's kind of what's exciting about all of this is that it's going to be that he's a coach's dream. Generally, you don't get guys that have been in the limelight that long like he has, and they come in here with no attitude. They come in here with no real gimmicks, anything like that. This dude just wants to play basketball, and he wants to get to the NBA in a year. I mean, he's been trained for that, and I think that's just kind of the way that it is at this point. So now, looking at him, though, I think the other thing that's also very interesting about Koa is you watch his game, you watch how he is, watch how he's built, you watch all of that, his passing, everything. It's next level stuff. He is like I said, he is a tremendous, tremendous basketball player. And if you wanted to say that his downside is, now listen, I mean, I get that he's a different player, but worst case scenario, you're kind of a Draymond Green type where you're a facilitator, you're a force multiplier is the term that a lot of people are using. If you're something like that, that's not that bad. That's not that bad. But again, he's got more of an offensive game. Probably will never be the defender, but I think the passing is something that a lot of people need to look at, and a lot of people need to understand is going to be a problem for anybody else. And I think he's going to be a great zone buster as well. He's going to be able to catch the ball at that high. He's going to be able to catch the ball at that, at the top of the key, and he's going to be able to face. And if a guy's cutting, Koa's going to be able to get him the ball. If a guy is open for three, Koa is going to be able to get him the ball. He is like I said, he is a different player entirely. And I think the thing that also is very, very interesting about him as well is his handle. His handle is a lot better than I think people thought. His pull-up, all of that is that's some next level stuff that we're looking at, and I don't think that a lot of people thought that we would that Koa would have that. And so, like I said, that's something that I think is very, very impressive, and a lot of people are, rightfully noticing about him. So, and the strength too. I think it was the commentator that said this guy's got to be the strongest guy in all of this guy's got to be the strongest 18-year-old in the world right now. I mean, you watch him, he's built like a lineman. His family, obviously, football players. His dad, a professional football player. You can tell that in his lineage, he was meant to be an athlete. Now, everybody else was a football player. He was a basketball player, and he's a really, really good basketball player on top of that. So Arizona's got a winner on its hands at this stage, and I think that Tommy Lloyd, you got to give TJ Benson a lot of credit right here, because TJ Benson is he's a guy that when Arizona hired him, he was going to have to make his mark in state. Everybody knows TJ, and he's gone out there and he has done an amazing job recruiting. And I think that's something that people need to look at, and they need to rightfully understand that. Heck, that's pretty awesome what he is doing. So there's obviously that. Now, the other thing too that we need to look at is. Which freshmen in the country are clearly going to be better, and I don't know the answer to that. I don't really think anybody else does. When I watch AJ Debansa, I think, man, that guy's got a lot of skill. That guy is, he's another guy. He's kind of a jack of all trades. He's 6'11", but I worry greatly about him and how he is going to perform now that he's got his money. I mean, you see that a lot with kids. How are you going to perform when you get that money? And I don't know what that answer is going to be. I think that answer is something that is going to be very. I think that's very much up in the air. Meanwhile, I don't have any concerns about how Koa Peat is going to handle all that. Granted, he's not getting $5 or $7 million, but I mean, he's still he's very driven. And I think that's the thing about it is that you watch him and he wants to be the best. He's been ready for this moment, and he's raised very well. That's another thing that we need to talk about, is that these guys, Tommy Lloyd likes guys that are raised well, that have family members that are, you come from decent situations, and, you got the nuclear units a lot of the time. And even if they're not, people like where the families are, in good standing. Koa Peat's got all of that. And, again, you watch him, this guy, he's ready for that moment. And I think that's what's exciting about all of this, is that he is ready for that moment. So, like I said, we shall see how this does all play out. But as far as just statistical expectation, I think you're looking at 15-7, 14-7, 2-3 assists, something like that. I think that's kind of what you are looking at this stage. He is like I said, he's a monster. He is and then you watch him too. His weak side shot blocking, I think, is going to be elite. He's just got to, like I said, when he gets to Tommy Lloyd, Tommy's going to be able to help him out with a lot of the nuances that maybe he hasn't quite gotten. He's obviously been coached very well by Sam Dwayne. Sam Dwayne, one of the GOATs in the state of Arizona, but there is a next level for Koa Peat, and I think people are about to find that out. I mean, like I said, when he gets the ball and he's jetting up the court, that's a problem for about anybody else out there, and I think Koa is going to show that. And it shows you, too, why there were two priorities for Arizona in this recruiting cycle, and there were two priorities only. Now, again, we're going to talk about some other guys here in a minute, but Koa Peat was one of those. Koa Peat was one of those two priorities. He, along with Braden Burries, he was somebody that, that Tommy Lloyd said, all right, I want to get these guys. Make sure by any means necessary that you get these players. And he was able to do exactly that. And so you take that, boom, good to go. And also, you watch him, and the other thing about him too is that, like I said, he's very cerebral. When you see somebody like him, it's not often that you understand that, man, this guy is seeing the entire court. This guy is seeing basically everything that is going on. He's got I hate to say this because again he is it's a little bit different because again Luke Walton was the best passing big man I've ever best passing player I've ever seen at the U of A, but he's got a little bit of that to him. And like I said, that when he catches that ball at the top of the key or when he catches that ball at the elbow, you better, if you're a defender, you better be on you better be on a swivel because he's going to get you that ball. So, like I said, that's something that's exciting to see how that we will see how this all does play out. But it's exciting to watch, and I think from an Arizona perspective, you got to be excited now. As far as, is he going to be the best freshman in the country? I think there are a couple questions about that. But first, FanDuel, my friends. FanDuel, check it out. Summer sports are in full swing, and whether you're all about baseball under the lights, golf on the green, or high-stakes soccer, FanDuel is the best way to make every game even more exciting. You're already following action. Why not make it a little bit more thrilling? With FanDuel, you can get in on the game while your friends are getting sunburned at the beach. That is the funnest, most enjoyable part about this. You can watch this, and you can say, man, I am looking forward to this. That's a great part about all of this. FanDuel, check it out. And again, I've been using FanDuel to track my favorite matchups, and the app keeps it fresh with new daily promotions and fun ways to bet. It's easy to use, and the great thing about it is new customers can bet just $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if your first bet wins. Open the FanDuel app today or visit FanDuel.com to get started. Now listen, football and basketball is over, but that doesn't mean that you can't get in there and you can't start making some more money in other spots. Thanks for keeping it locked on Wildcats and making this your first listen of the day. I am your host, Mike Luke. All right, now let's talk a little bit about where who could be the best freshman in the country. I think there's going to be there's about a core four. That's what I'm looking at. I think it's going to be Koa Peat. I think it's going to be Debansa. I think it's going to be Darren Peterson at Kansas, and I think it's going to be one of the really, really good Boozer. When I watch Peterson, that's the guy that I would probably pick if I had the number one pick in the NBA draft. That's the guy that I would probably pick because, again, there's a lot of Cade Cunningham to his game, and that he can create, he can score, he can, like I said, he can get up and down the court. He can just do a lot of different things. So there is, like I said, there's that. He's really, really good. Plus on Kansas, it's not exactly a loaded roster because there aren't very many people on the roster this coming season. So he's going to put up numbers. He's awesome. No doubt about it. Boozer at Duke, obviously awesome. We talked about Debansa, but I think Koa is going to be right there, and I think that Koa's impact is going to be right there as well. Now, we're going to talk about another guy that I think is going to be a pretty impactful guy, and that's Braden Burries. Braden Burries, he's obviously a little bit older. Couldn't play for the U19 team because he's about to be 20, but like I said, he's also somebody that there is a lot to like about his game, and we will get to that. So, but either way, Koa Peat, an absolute monster, and somebody that I think Arizona fans need to be very, very excited about because he's going to be doing a lot of things for the Wildcats in this coming year. He's only going to be here 1 year. But I will say this, you look at any of those NBA draft mocks or anything like that, and anything that doesn't have him going in the top 15 is being silly. He is somebody that will absolutely go in the top 15. Not only will he go in the top 15, he will also be, like I said, he's going to be a difference maker. He's a winner, and I think that Arizona is going to have this best team yet under Tommy. Not only do I think it's going to be his best team yet under Tommy, I think that this is going to be a team that's going to be a lot of problems come March. And honestly, I think playing next door to Mo Crevis is going to help him a lot because he is like I said, I get that a lot of people were upset about how Mo played this past year. I get all of that, but at the same time, I also watched somebody in somebody like how do I put it? and you just kind of see all of that as well. So we shall see. But I think Mo Crevis is going to fit in well. He's just, like I said, with his back to the basket, he's going to have to be he's just going to have to be efficient. And if he's healthy, I think he's going to be good. All right. So now moving over, let's talk a little bit of Arizona football. Now, here's where I'm at with Arizona football. You got to get 5 wins this coming season. That's where I am at. I don't really care. I mean, now again, I know that I'm speaking out of both sides of my mouth, but I will say that I need to. I want to be excited about. If you get 5 wins, I think Arizona is going to be in very, very good shape. And I think, like I said, that's something that's really, really good. When you watch it, and when you watch this team, like I said, you need to be able to get to 5 wins because I think that'll show progress. But at the same time, I also want to be entertained. I know I keep coming back to this, but I want to be entertained. And that is a big part about all of this, is being entertained. Last year's team was not entertaining at all, and not only was it not entertaining, it was not a team that you watched and said to yourself that this is going to be something that's going to be fun to watch. It just wasn't any of that. So again, you need to be able to get to that point. If you get to that point, then I think Arizona's in good shape. So let's talk about Oscar Rios at first. Oscar Rios is a stud. Oscar Rios is, he's a top 150 player in the country. Arizona generally doesn't get those. Kind of guys, especially somebody that's viewed as a top 15 quarterback. He had a lot of options. He could have gone to a lot of different places, but it was that connection with Seth Daggy. And I mean, again, that's also too where you kind of look at it and you're like, man, these guys kind of get it. These guys kind of get it. As far as how you're possessing, how you're pushing through, and I think that's what's kind of fun about all of this is, like I said, how this is going through. Now, where exactly then is Arizona then when it comes to what Rios can do? Like I said, I think he's going to take him a year. I don't think that he's ready to come in and just dominate immediately. In fact, I would be a little bit surprised by that. I think that he is somebody that is, he's really, really skinny. Not only is he really, really skinny, but he's also somebody too that you watch and you're just kind of like, all right, he's going to get there. Because he's got all the arm strength, he's got all the tools, but it's going to, like I said, it's going to take him a little bit of time, but I'm excited to see exactly how that does play out. But you're getting a talented guy on board, and I think that's what's also fun about this, getting a talented player on board that, in that California scene, these guys talk, and again, these guys like being around each other, and I think that's what's fun about all of this, is that these guys like being around each other. So, we shall, like I said, we shall see how this does all play out. But, getting in there in California, getting in there and making your voice heard is something that this staff wants to do. And there's another player on there that just committed that is also very, very important in the grand scheme of things. Thanks for keeping it locked on Wildcats and making this your first listen of the day. I am your host, Mike Luke. All right, now, let's talk a little bit about where we are when it comes to Brandon Smith. Arizona, this is your second highest rated guy in the entire class. Brandon Smith, another guy that is a stud. He's 6 foot, 190 pounds. He's out of Fresno. If you remember, Arizona had a ton of those kids from Fresno. I think it was Central East, if I'm not mistaken. You had Nick Wilson. You had the big kid. I can't remember what his name was. And then there was another one as well. This guy is going to be good. And I think that this is somebody that Arizona is going to be able to hold on to. We've talked about this before, but with Alonzo Carter, if he pulls a kid out of Northern California, I have every reason to believe that that kid is going to come to the University of Arizona, mainly because Alonzo Carter is able to sell. He's able to sell good stuff. And you watch him, he's got a great reputation. Not only does he have a great reputation, he's also somebody that overall is just a good dude. And like I said, guys want to play for him, and it's easy to understand why. Because again, he is a He's a coach that just kind of gets it. He's personable, but at the same time, he also knows what he's doing, and he is going to demand and he's going to expect a lot of you. You watch the running backs that he's had, and last year obviously was a disaster. But I think if you had JCM out there, JCM would have been I think JCM would have been a really, really good player for the University of Arizona. And again, he was drafted. Guys that don't play and are drafted, that generally speaks to what they had. I thought Quali Conley was okay. They just didn't have a lot of options. I think Kedrick Risano, when he got his opportunities, was good. So there is, like I said, there's obviously that. But it's exciting to see what, how this running back room can unfold. But I do believe that as long as Alonzo Carter is there, Arizona's running back room is going to be good. And like I said, you look at this one, you look at Risano this coming season, you also look at Ishmael Mahdi, you look at Quincy Craig. He likes having a lot of guys, and, like he always says, he's like, no block, no rock. Having a competition like that is something that he wants. Now, a big part of this is going to be the offensive line. Arizona is going to be getting a couple more linemen here, and again, I hate saying it, but Jed Fish kind of laid the template then as to how you want to get those linemen. You want to get guys that are, you want to get the offensive linemen that are, the offensive and defensive linemen that are probably 3 stars, but you look at them and you're like, okay, we can continue to build those guys up. We can continue to get them stronger and get them to a certain point. And you saw that happen with a Jonas Savanea. You saw that happen with a Wendell Moy, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I think that's what you're kind of looking for then. With when it comes to somebody like what you're looking on the offensive line. That's what you just want to be able to get. And if you can get, again, that Pauly connection too would be very, very good. Like I said, Jed showed that he could do that. And, Dick Tomey showed that. Because Pauly's, like I said, they are bigger dudes. They are bigger guys. Not only are they bigger guys, they are also people that, they can get to the next level. They're strong. They're, and some of them are quick twitch as well. It's like I said, it's fun to be able to watch. It's fun to be able to watch how this all does play out. I'm excited though. I do think that the skill position players on Arizona's offense are going to be fairly good. And when I say they're fairly good, obviously it's going to take a little bit of a time, but we'll see. But it's not all that matters really is the offensive line. If the offensive line is good enough, then I think that some of these guys will be. But if they're not good enough, then we're going to find that one out as well. But Alonzo Carter, and I got to give Brent Brennan. I think they've done a decent job recruiting. But again, where I'm at is 5 wins. You got to get 5 wins. If you get 5 wins, I think that's showing improvement. Depending, especially on how the offense looks, and then I think you can move from there. But it also, like I said, so much of it just depends on. I cannot sit by and watch what I watched last year. That was just like I said, I want to see a semblance of normalcy, and I think you're going to see a semblance of normalcy with this. With this offense, because again, Seth Doege is not Atkins, and he is not somebody like Dino Babers. He's modernized, and I think what's also going to be fun about him is that I think what's also going to be fun about all of this is that this is a team, this is a lineup that is going to be able to get the ball out quickly. So again, we're going to see how this plays out. But overall, pretty good stuff for the U of A when it comes to recruiting. Like I said, I don't have monster expectations for the for next season, but who knows? It could be a little bit better. Now, back to Koa Peat, though, for a second. Koa Peat's a monster. Like I said, if Koa Peat's the best freshman in all of college basketball this coming season, he's going to that will be something that will, I think, will very much impress a lot of people. He's shown. I don't see why he can't. Not only do I not see why he can't, I kind of think he will. And getting out there and continuing to move that in the manner in which he has will be fun. But again, Tommy Lloyd showed why he prioritized him from day one, and we're going to see all of that from there. Now, we're going to talk about Braden Burries tomorrow. We're going to talk about what should the expectations for Braden Burries be, because again, he's really good as well, and he's somebody that was rated similar. And where's he on NBA draft boards? Where is he? And I think that's going to be something that will be fun to find out as well. But as always, Very much appreciate you all making Locked On Wildcats your first listen of the day. I'm your host, Mike Luke. Bear down, back the A, and we will be back with you tomorrow. And thanks for making Locked On Wildcats your first listen of the day. Locked On, your team every day.